So, hello and welcome. I already did it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I don't want to take up too much time. We only have about an hour to go over not a lot of material, but a little bit of material. So I do want to say that my name this is College Student Food Insecurity Taking Action. I am Donnie K. Russell, Director of Student Outreach and Leadership Development at the University of the District of Columbia in Washington, D.C. I do want to remind you that at the end there will be a quick evaluation of the presentation. Evaluations can be accessed in the guidebook app or completed by paper. I will have the paper forms here at the end of the evaluation. Please make sure you do them. The evaluations are important to help improve the educational programs for future conferences, and the goal is to have a high response rate for the session evaluations. Okay, so we're going to get started today. We will acquire an appreciation of the magnitude of student food insecurity within our American colleges and universities. We will identify criteria for assessing your institution's student food insecurity level. We will gain some insight about traditional responses to this problem, and we will consider what's necessary to successfully respond to the challenge of this problem. So, what is food insecurity? Like, a lot of people talk about this. So the mission of leading the fight on campus against food student insecurity, the guiding principles of linking students to additional resources, whether internally or externally, and empowering students to make choices and helping remove the barriers to retention is how we came about food insecurity. It went under the radar for so long that food insecurity and home and housing insecurity became huge barriers to retention in many institutions. It did not matter if you're a private school, urban school, public school, rural school. Literally, this became one of the largest barriers to retention for so many schools that now it's starting to come from under and make huge highlights. And so what we learned is we have different levels of food security, and so they affect student populations differently. Very low food insecurity, of course, a decrease in quality, variety, desirability, quantity, as well as disrupted eating patterns and due to inability to access adequate food. What we talked about basically of not having food. When you have people talk about levels of bordering on starvation and or depleting deficiencies, that is very low food security. Low food security is the quality, variety, and desirability are negatively impacted, but quality is not. And I talk this about students all the time on our campus. Eating hot fries, hamburgers, beer, like it's food, but it's not nutritious food. So that's still a level of food insecurity. And so this is a part of the education process in which we often treat our students, our staff, and a lot of people at the universities about as well. Just because you have food doesn't mean that you are food secure or nutrient secure, as I like to say. Moderate food security. Some level of concern or challenge in accessing quality of food without significant decrease in quality, variety, or quantity. This is what we are trying to achieve, is what I would like to hope, at most institutions. Once they identify that there is a level of, or a significant level of food insecurity, that you are trying to achieve a moderate food security for your students. At the point we are right now, I don't think anybody can start to say, my goal is to eradicate food insecurity for every student at my campus immediately. Let's be reasonable. So, reasonable start would be with moderate food security for your campus. Okay? Next. So, college students acknowledging food insecurity. We have basic numbers and information we have, okay, right? So, we have 4,583 Title IV degree granting institutions in 2016. This is the number that's given to us from the Department of Education. We know this is what our tax dollars pay for. It's on the books. It's fact, right? We also know the number of students enrolled. Again, Department of Education. 17,510,928. That's a big difference between the number of institutions serving the number of people. Okay, so think about that as we go on. You think about the students are hungry or not, or the amount of resources that are being allocated and distributed and how they're being spread. So, Wisconsin Hope Lab study, which is entitled Still Hungry and Homeless. Wisconsin Hope Lab is a really good resource if you guys would like to check that out. I'll show you a place where you can check out some resources in a little bit. But they did surveys every year, and they have different different groups, basically like KUFA or SNAP or Single Stop. They have schools that are part of their organization and association. So they do tell you how they conduct their studies and what questions are asked and who the survey samples were with. This is where I obtained some of this information that you're looking at here. And, oh no, we don't want that to happen. Wait a minute. Okay, great. We're back. just a little. Okay, so 40 to 46% of students said they couldn't afford to eat balanced meals. Like, again, doesn't matter, rural, urban, private, public. When you look at the study and you look at the respondents in this study, you love the schools. This is the Wisconsin Hope Lab. This is not in a major city. This is not an urban environment. And so when you talk about, I worried whether my food would run out before I got money to buy more. Sound like a common problem? That's only a common problem for adults, not alone just students who are in college, right? The food that I bought just didn't last, and I didn't have money to get more. 29 to 37%. Were you ever hungry but didn't eat because there wasn't enough money for food? 20 to 24%. So this, again, these are average students of what they're experiencing, and a lot of people would not have identified this category as food insecure, but it is. Again, so take a little time. I want you guys to read the different percentage of information that you see up here, which also came from the Hope Study. Okay, and so I bring these up because food insecurity negatively impacts and diminishes the educational experience and the capacity to learn. Food insecurity often compromises a student's ability to perform well in their classes, and it can be severe enough to the results to the students taking time off of school or discontinuing their education completely. Their level of academic effort in and outside the classroom is the same. Utilizing assistance programs does not eliminate food insecurity. Some students may be taking advantage of assistance programs due to their lack of awareness or by their intimidation by the enrollment process, or avoiding such assistance programs due to social stigma. So even though there are lots of programs that may be available in your city and your state, it doesn't mean that students, one, are taking advantage of it, or two, they're even aware of it. And so that leads us to percentage numbers like this, where you have students saying that 25% reported food insecurity to cause them to drop a class, or that 30 to 46% of students run out of meal points before the end of the school term, or that 56% of insecure students reported employment. Majority of students who are hungry actually work. They will acknowledge that they're not working to supplement the money that they need. 45% of students with at least one parent who attended college reported food insecurity. These are not first-generation students. These are students who have parents who went to college, who know what it's like. These are students who have parents who can advise them before they went to school. Hey, this is what you should be looking forward to. This is what you can expect. So all the myths and the ideas and stereotypes we may have thought about this subgroup of students may not necessarily be true. And so that's part of the education process of educating not only your peers but your institution about what food insecurity is. So 61% of food insecure students in their households received and used. So that's a big number. That's over half. So we'll get to what half of the number is, and why this is something I don't know. But also I want to point out, your type of student has changed. Does anybody recognize that word household up there? It's really important to realize that the Department of Education and university officials have also started to recognize that when students go to school, their household goes to school too, if they have a household. So if you're taking care of kids, if you have sisters and brothers you take care of, elders you take care of, they're kind of in school with you. And so we recognize that non-traditional student or the traditional student pathway that we've all come to know and love of the American tradition has shifted a lot and a great deal in the past 10 to 15 years. And so it is no surprise that over half of the students who are enrolled under the Department of Education and under their enrolled student status, whether it be part-time, full-time, or a quarter of the time, are accessing some or more or at least one of these assistance programs and still experiencing food insecurity. That says a lot. So in a national effort to help develop innovative approaches to respond to the needs of college students, experiencing food insecurity has been growing rapidly. One of the most pervasive challenges encountered in the efforts has been the ability to determine and demonstrate the size of the student population experiencing food insecurity within individual colleges. Historically, the determination of the student population has been based on limited scale surveys conducted directly with small samplings of each college student's population. As I mentioned before, the other surveys like Wisconsin Hope Lab or Single Stop or Coupa, these different organizations are conducting these studies here and there in single studies. And so the information has been hard to come by recently, and now people are starting to gather lots and lots of more information. So, I say this, in such small survey sizes has made it difficult to motivate or to convince your school administration decision makers and private and public philanthropists and significant resources, and to make significant resources available to respond to such needs. So therefore, I bring up Partnerships by Design, which is a company that has a calculator on the website that allows you to calculate the magnitude of your food insecurity at your institution. So I was like, this is awesome, right? Because that's one of the things, we're in this data-driven world, right? So everything is pretty much data-driven. We want to know how it affects our institution specifically. And so Partnership by Design establishes business, programmatic, and operating relationships and commitments of resources to acquire and distribute a food selection of diverse, healthy food products to students experiencing food insecurity at no direct financial cost to students. The programmatic and operating business model is designed to be replicated in different local communities, offering all of these elements required by the business model. So I will go to the link real quick. We're gonna go here. All right. So I wanted to introduce this resource and this tool because it's been a huge asset and an assistance with the pantry initiative that I've worked on as I do Fresh Food Pantry. And I think it's coming a little. There you go. There you go. As a huge asset as the one we've done here at the University District of Columbia. And I will go to, I can write slide 9 for you guys, so we can go to the calculator. All right, so like I said, they developed a social science statistical fact-based calculator, which will allow you to use circumstantial data to calculate the estimated number of students enrolled experiencing food insecurity. Somebody asked me in an interview recently with American University, how did you come up with wanting to use this resource for your university? And it started with understanding the fact that this affects all students. I work at a school that's in an urban setting. Yes, and we are a public institution, but most recently if you have the qualitative data, there are news stories of athletes from D1 schools stealing food, literally. So, this is happening in the north, in the south, in the west. And so when you start to pay attention to the news, and to the stories, and to the data about college students in D1, D2, NCAA athletes getting caught and willing to go to jail to steal food, you start to understand that it's not a subgroup topic. It's not an issue about ethnicity or nationality. This is really an issue about American college students. And so if you can find the data at your institution, you can really kind of narrow down how food insecurity is affecting your institution, because it's affecting all students. The question is how significant and how prevalent is it at your school? Okay, so let's go into the calculator real quick. I'm going to the criteria first before I go there. So this is the criteria that is selected that most of you all can obtain at your universities pretty easily. It should be in your fact book, it should be in your IRAP, it should be the information that your university sends to your Department of Education. The benchmark survey conducted by Single Stop indicated that out of 2,053 Pell eligible students who responded, 62% of students experienced some degree of food insecurity in the past 12 months. So 13% of students experienced deep food insecurity. That means they were hungry and didn't eat for at least a whole day because there wasn't enough money for food. And that's what 2016 Pulse survey results confirm this. The federal Pell Grant is distinguished from other financial aid assistance in that all students meeting a certain criteria are guaranteed aid, with the amount of aid determined by financial need. So being that students, certainly all universities are allowed to obtain Pell financial status, being that they're still accredited universities within the Department of Education, it became a good benchmark to understand the financial barriers and different tiers of students at different institutions. It also gave a good breakdown of the needs of the students as well when you couple them with the amount of time that they're going to school. This is how we selected the criteria that will be used within the statistical calculator, okay? Sample. This is what the calculator looks like when you go to the website, and it will ask you to put in it'll say abbreviated titles from step 1 above. It says cell rows, 5 rows from far left. Your y-axis. You want full-time students, part-time students, parents, and then families. You can pick out whatever labels you would want, and I'm going to show you what it looks like briefly, so you can understand. So, on the website. It does have a calculator with instructions here. It does break down and tell you. If you go, and I didn't want to take up too much time because we had to go by so fast. And if I wanted to have you guys do it, I didn't want you to try to find the information, trying to plug it in. It's like, let me do it for you. But when you do go to the time calculator, it allows you, as you can see, to put in your own tables, but those are suggested criteria, as you said, if you want to break down significant levels, if you want to try, as those are already proven variables that have significant correlations, okay? And just a little background, my master's degree is in qualitative and quantitative statistics, so of course, leading to me, I use data to find a way to institutionalize a fresh food pantry. Like I said, we live in a data-driven world, so you use what you got, get what you need, you know, like. So this is the child calculator. So then on the rows above, on the x-axis, you would have your Pell eligible, your Pell grants, your tuition remission, disabled student loans. And I'll show you that again. Go back to this. So these are the sample numbers that we collected that I just used. Like, all right, we'll just use some sample numbers here.